Well, feedback on the issue of why life is worth living and the related thing of why procreate. Well, it's very interesting responses if you ask me. But I mean, there's a couple things. One person pointed out, "Oh, you didn't say why life was worth living." Well, yeah, I didn't say that because it's different. I think for everybody. I think I want to leave room for everybody to have their own reason to live. So my point is that if you're still living, there's got to be a reason, just by the definition of reason. And if it's not a reason to motivate you to want to live, I'm just saying, look, you're living. Why are you still living? Especially if I accept the assumptions that life's so hard. It takes work, and you're spending that work. You're going to tell me that somehow that adds up to it not be worth. You don't think it's worth spending, but you do it anyway. So why do you do it anyway? What makes you would have to explain that. And I think it's pretty clear that you go on living, it takes work, therefore, some reason. Now, for me, I have thought about this. Is it to maximize happiness and stuff? No, no, I don't think so. You see, the thing is, I think in order to enjoy life, you have to be alive first. And we need pain and misery systems, okay? You don't necessarily need those systems to be triggered per se, but we do need a system to detect pain. And then, in that sense, we have to feel pain in order to survive. In other words, if we were to survive when we're damaged, we have to experience that negatively so that we will react to it. Now, the more intellectual we get, the more we can control our pain, the more we can see that our leg is damaged, kill the pain, and still be very careful and stay off it and try to heal. Obviously, in our millions of years of evolution, we didn't have that intellect. Many animals don't have that intellect. So the DNA simply gives them something to command their attention and their interest. It demands, be interested in me, I am pain, be interested in me, and figure out how to stop this situation or repair it. So we have to have these systems of pain and misery in order to be alive. So it's a prerequisite. In order to live life well and enjoy life, you have to have these systems to detect some situations as negative and undesirable. You can't define desirable without undesirable, in other words. So, so I don't look at life as trying to rack up just the joy events, because the very prerequisites of living require having some system of both what we call joy and pain. And so I look at, well, what is consistent about life? It's interesting. That's my answer, though. If it's the small pleasures, you love fresh baked bread and you got a bread machine, you wake up every morning, have a little cup of orange juice and some bread, and that makes life worth living for you, fine. I'm fine with that. Philosophically, I think I'm doing okay with my explanation because it's obviously interesting to you. It holds your interest. You don't find it boring, you find it pleasurable to do that. So the point of life, in that sense, um, can't be eliminating all misery because we want to be able to detect misery. And yet, why do we detect the misery? So that we can avoid it. And so, in that sense, yes, life can be about trying to avoid the misery. But it can't be about condemning life just because there is misery. Because you could turn off that part of your brain. You could have evolved a brain with no pain system. Some people, their pain systems don't work. They don't survive better. It's not better for them because they're going to hurt themselves and not even know. And it's very dangerous to them. Now, as to life and procreation, to be serious, that's the question. And no, I don't mind questioning this, even though I'm a parent. I mean, you're not going to change my view on my own parenthood. And I think it's an interesting philosophical question. But the thing is, first we said, why do it's egotistical? People want to create a little copy of themselves. Yeah, it is egotistical to do that. I don't treat my children as little copies of me, and they're very different. And if you have kids, you have to really work hard to maintain the illusion that they're little copies of yourself. They are their own people. On the other hand, while they're not a copy, they are a continuation, right? How long have I been alive? 41 years? Well, no, the sperm and the egg were alive. That we like to say, oh, the life was carried to us through the sperm and egg. No, that was our life. that life of that sperm and that egg, which then joined, that grew into our life. So I've been alive a very long time indeed, going back. Procreation is a part of life, just as much as eating or anything else. You know, the idea that, well, shouldn't we just take care of the people we have now? Well, who's going to take care of the people now when we all get old? You know? And that's like saying, shouldn't I take care of business right now? Like, shouldn't I have a meal right now rather than make sure that I can have meals for the next 20 years and stay alive? Well, no, maybe it's better to go hungry a day if that day is spent figuring out how to have, security of meals in the future, to go on living in the future. No, just surviving today and ignoring the survival of tomorrow, not a good option unless you really have no choice. So, you know, procreating is a way of making a part of your body, which is alive, grow into an even more robust life, able to keep living, and doing that generation after generation. That is how you stay alive. So if you believe that life is worth living, then yeah, you have a reason to procreate so that you could keep living. And as far as those people, those kids, well, they'll have the same freedoms to decide to live or not live. And they can make those decisions for themselves. And Gary likes to point out, they're like, yeah, well, okay, they get to make that decision when they're 18, so you condemn them to 18 years of hell. Well, no, that's why a lot of parents try to make childhood, especially comforting. Try to put lots of fun and joy in it so that it's not a hell on earth. And when they have to face the earth raw, they can make that decision themselves. I personally teach my children that the rough and tumble of reality is a gift of nature, one way or another. If it doesn't seem like a gift, then figure out how it is, because this is our chance to live. And, if it's going to come down to just this fact of, is life as terrible as everybody says, then yeah, no, it's not. We're a bunch of fucking whiners. And the world is terrible. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. But people choose to keep living, even people in these terrible situations. Why? Because life itself is a strong, good thing. Even if everything in the life is still shitty, just the potential to have a chance to get past that. The potential that your children won't be slaves and they'll be free, or your grandchildren. That potential is enough to make life worth living for humans. Lots of animals aren't that way. They won't breed in captivity, let alone the kinds of captivity and situations that humans will breed in. And why is that? Because humans, we just innately know we're adaptable and that we can make it. And if we don't make it, if we fight on, we can create something that can survive it. Just scattered feedback on all the feedback I got. Cheers.